Now that you've been through the first homework set, I wanted to do a video of me going through it to give you a better idea of how to use Excel and what you need to be thinking about in terms of doing that. And so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to solve these problems. Question one. Now, it's very important that you, instead of typing the numbers into an equation, that you use Excel to take advantage of Excel to put the numbers in and then do a calculation. So this is going to be 9.93 times 9.49 divided by 9.43. Okay, so now I've got my first answer on question one, and we just move on to question two. Question two, my inputs are 191.44, 7.07, 1.23. And then I'm going to get my answer down here. All right, so 101.4 divided by, and a parentheses around this, 7.07 times 1.23. And that gives us question two. On to question three. And again, always put your inputs in their own cells. And we'll cover that, why you want to do that, in just a minute. Well, at the end of the video, basically. All right, so here we've got this plus that divided by that. There are several things I'm trying to teach you to do here. One is that in using Excel this way, you're kind of maximizing what it can do, and you're not going to have to retype as much again if you end up doing another attempt. And that's a big part of kind of getting this right, because you want to on your first attempt you want to go through and the ones that you got right, you want to be able to just leave them alone, essentially leave the hard part alone, and then just work on the ones that you got wrong for your second attempt. And so here we have 10.39 divided by 9.06 plus the last number. And question five. Question 5, 1806, 9.6, 16.74, 7.43. The answer? All right, putting the equation, it's the 1806 divided by the 9.6 plus 16.73 times. And you'll notice something I do, I often am saying this at the same time as I'm typing it, because that gives my brain two different ways of working on it. And I just caught a typo there because there was a disconnect between what I typed and what I was saying. And I'm a touch typist, so I wasn't even looking at the keyboard when I realized, oh, wait, I did something wrong. Okay. So question 7 is our first one we get. I'm sorry, question 6. Question 6 is our first one we get to where we have labeled input. So A, B, C, and D. Right? And later on, you'll want to do these as, and we might even, sometimes you might even want to go numerator, denominator, if it's a more complex problem. Okay, A. A is 12.61, B is 19.57, C is 5.96, D is 9.37. And so I'm going to do the numerator first, which is just going to be A plus B. Then I'm going to do the denominator, which is going to be C times D. Now I can do this all in one step, but sometimes, you know, if you're struggling a little bit, make life easier on yourself and do it in smaller steps. Okay, so that gets us through question 6. Question 7. Question 7. Question 7. Again, we have inputs A, B, C, D, F, and G. You'll notice there's not an E because, well, E is a reserved character, and it just causes havoc sometimes. All right, 10.65, 16.07, 1.456, 13.5, to 1.777, and 10.46. Now, this is a complex numerator, complex denominator. It's a really good idea on this one to do this as separate pieces. And so I'm going to do the numerator first, which is going to be A plus B in parentheses divided by C. And then this denominator, which is going to be D divided by F. And I don't need parentheses there because division takes precedence over addition. And now the answer is going to be my numerator divided by my denominator. Okay, and moving right along, question 8. Question 8 has parts again, A, B, C, and D. And so A is 9.75, B is 11.03, C is 4.46, D is 5.87, and then the answer down here is parentheses A plus B over C, all of that over D. Question 9. A, B, C, N, and M. These are inputs, and they are 1.314, 13.78, 1.65, 65, 3, and 2. So answer A to the N, A to the N plus B divided by C, all of that to the M. And that gives me the answer. Let's get to 10. Question 10. There's an A, B, C, and D. The answer is going to be, okay, 8.73, 1.834, 15.68, 1.18. We've got A divided by, now I'm going to do it in one step just so you can see how I would do that. B plus, let's say I've got parentheses around the denominator so that Excel knows, oh, that whole thing, B80 plus B81 over B82, that's one thing, and that's the denominator here. So I'll calculate that. 11. We have X. It's the only thing we have. 85.677. And so we want the answer. It's going to be 10 to the log of X. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. 10 to the log of X. And you get exactly the same thing back because the inverse function of the base 10 log is the exponential 10. Okay, question 12. We have X and lambda. And I'm going to put here pi as well. We have pi. Just to be more explicit with how do you get pi. Well, X is 5.306. Lambda is 5.15, and pi, you use the function pi, all right, to give you pi. And what's our answer? We want the cosine of 2 times pi divided by lambda times x. Now, because the order of operations is going to be left to right for equivalent operations, this is going to do exactly what's written over here, right? It's going to give us what we want. And so we're good with that form of the expression. Okay, 13. We have an x. That's all we have. And our x is 0.741. And unfortunately, the latest update on Canvas, it doesn't render this very well. This is the inverse sine function, which is just in Excel, it's the anti-sine or a-sine function. And all you do is the a sine of x. Question 14. Question 14, we have an A, B, and an N. And then down here, that B, that's not very clear. That's 10 to the minus 12. There are a couple ways to do that. You can do 10 to the minus 12. That's one way to do it. But the other thing that Excel does, you can see here, it did it right there. You can type 1e minus 12. And the nice thing about Excel is it treats that as a single number, not as parts in any way, shape, or form. N in this case is -1, and then A is 0.138. Okay. And what I'm after here for my answer is going to be 10 times the log of A times 10 to the N, 10 to the N, all of that divided by, now, let me do this. Let me start over. 10 times log. Okay, because I have a numerator that has more than one thing in it, I'm going to put parentheses around the numerator. A times 10 to the N. And now I've clearly isolated that numerator, and I can divide by B without any problem. And what's this going to be? Log, what is it not like? Oh, I used A. Sorry, I do that. I used A instead of the cell. I think, the value A. All right, now one of the things you're going to have to do, here it is, it has stuck this into scientific notation, but you need it in regular number notation. So we're just going to do that, right? And so 101. So all I did was switch from scientific, right? Scientific notation, oh, wrong cell. I just switched from scientific notation, which does that form, to just the regular number notation, number. And last question, question 15. See, we have a T and a T, and I'm not going to put pi out separately this time. Little t is 124.09, capital T is 0.659, and we need the answer, which is going to be the sine of 2 times pi divided by capital T times all of that times lowercase t. And there you have it. That's a quick run through on doing this, right? Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to submit this. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't like me. I'm going to do another preview. This is why you want to do everything carefully in Excel the way I've done it. Because now, let's say you go through and you got a good number of these right. And You don't want to have to redo all that work. Well, if you've done it like this, now all I have to do is come in here and go 5.51, 19.97, 5.31, and I have the answer to question 1. I just have to give Excel my new inputs. 179.38, 2.32, 8.05, and I've got the answer to question 2. The great thing about this is it also puts the inputs out where I see them clearly. And so if I've got a typo in a number and that's all I did wrong, it's much easier to debug and to figure out what I've done. So this is one of the reasons I want you to use Excel. I want you to get good with it because it's a great life skill. It's a great professional skill. I want you to get accustomed to using it this way because that's going to help you quite a bit in terms of this class in particular. Okay. And that's it for my demo. Good luck with all the problems and all the future homeworks.